Hey, what's going on, guys? This Saturday is UFC 296, and in the main event, we are getting Leon Edwards versus Colby Covington for the welterweight championship. And this is going to be my full breakdown and prediction. And I've crapped on this fight for a while, for the last few months, basically really for the last 8 months. I've discussed how Colby Covington doesn't deserve a welterweight title shot. And a lot of people confused with speaking facts about the meritocracy of Colby Covington potentially earning a shot. They think I'm saying Colby can't win this fight. This is, on paper, this is a highly competitive fight. Both Leon Edwards and Colby Covington are elite level fighters, and this is your typical striker versus grappler matchup. Leon Edwards wants to go out there, stay at range, pick apart Colby with the striking, and Colby wants to go out there, pressure him, use the volume, use the wrestling, and attempt to win this fight basically in the clinch and on the ground. That's a fact. And this is a matchup where I feel like it could go either way. I know a lot of people, especially the people who are Colby Covington sycophants who love WWE and who are into the whole political type thing. They really are like, oh, Colby's got this. He's going to ragdoll him. But for the vast majority of regular fans, I feel like people are underestimating Colby Covington. I've honestly switched back and forth on my pick. I've done a full card prediction video. I'll link that down below if you want to see my predictions for this entire card. But over the last few months, I've been struggling to make my pick. Am I going Leon Edwards? Am I going Colby Covington? My original early prediction for this fight was Colby Covington. I just thought, you know what? His pressure and volume, he can go out there and kind of Merab Dvalishvili Leon Edwards, if that makes sense. So this is a matchup that I feel like everyone or the majority of fans are confident in Leon Edwards, but it would not shock me at all if Colby Covington goes out there, puts the pressure on Leon Edwards, and just goes out there and wins a decision, a pretty clear-cut decision. But it also wouldn't shock me. Leon Edwards has been improving rapidly. He's coming off 2 wins against Kamaru Usman. It wouldn't shock me if he went out there and put on a masterclass performance against an aging Colby Covington. So there's a lot of factors really to take into play because what makes this fight so hard to pick is Colby's been sitting out for a while, almost 2 years. He's been hiding in witness protection, and his last fight wasn't against anyone the caliber of Leon Edwards. He fought Jorge Masvidal in his last fight, and we'll talk about that in a second. But, it's very difficult to pick a fight when you have a guy coming out of witness protection after kind of being there for 2 years, and we don't really know what we're going to get from him when he returns because he's already in his almost his late 30s. He's in his mid 30s. So it's a very compelling fight. It's a very interesting fight, and I'm really looking forward to it. If you look at the tail of the tape for this fight, you have Leon Edwards, who is 21-3. Colby Covington is 17-3. Edwards is the champion. Covington is ranked number 3. Edwards is 32. Covington is 35. Edwards is 6'2". Covington is 5'11". And Edwards has a 74-inch reach, and Covington has a 72-inch reach. So a 3-inch height advantage and a 2-inch reach advantage for Leon Edwards, the champion. If you look at Colby Covington, 2 wins by KO, TKO in his pro MMA career, 6 by submission, and 9 by decision. And I don't want to spend too much time going through his resume because I've talked about it ad nauseum. He's 2-2 in his last 4 fights. He has no wins over a current ranked welterweight. Absolutely 0 wins over a current ranked welterweight in the top 15. That is crazy. And he's already had 2 title shots, and he's lost both of them to Kamaru Usman. His biggest accomplishment is losing close fights to Kamaru Usman. Now, if you look at Leon Edwards, 7 wins via KO, TKO, 3 wins via submission, 10 via decision. He's coming off the 2 title wins against Kamaru Usman, the one crazy, head kick KO in the 5th round, come from behind win. And then the most recent one was a kind of close decision, even though a lot of people didn't see it that way. And he's on a really long win streak. He has not lost since the original loss to Kamaru Usman back in 2015. Now, let's jump right into the prediction, because I have a lot to say about this fight. I am going Leon Edwards via decision, probably like a 49-46 decision, maybe even a 48-47 decision. And, this fight, I've gone back and forth because on one hand, I'm looking at Leon Edwards. He's in his prime. He's taller. He has a reach advantage. He's been working on his grappling for basically 3 years. But at the same time, I recently went back and rewatched the Kamaru Usman rematch. And what I mean by that, because a lot of people are going to get confused, there's been 3 fights. So not the most recent fight, but the fight where Leon Edwards got the head kick KO in the 5th round. And I'm watching that fight, and I'm literally watching Kamaru Usman bully him, push him up against the fence. Not only push him up against the fence, But when they're in close range, when Leon has his back against the fence, Kamaru Usman's just ripping to the body, ripping upstairs and landing. And he's not even really looking for takedowns. He's not necessarily engaged in the clinch. But then from those positions, he then gets in the clinch, works the takedowns, gets him down, and then Leon will work back to his feet, but then getting taken back down again. In the first round, he got taken down early in the first round as well. Now he got back up and got a takedown of his own, but I think he just kind of caught Kamaru Usman off guard. But I'm looking at that matchup, and if you go off of that fight, I'm thinking Colby Covington wins this all day because Colby's pressure, I think, is better than Kamaru Usman's. The way, Usman is a little bit more measured in, okay, I don't want to get clipped and I don't want to get caught, which is funny because he ended up getting caught in the second fight against Leon Edwards, where Colby is like, I'll take a shot, I got a chin, let me just walk you down, clinch shot with you, beat you up against the fence, and just spam takedown after takedown after takedown. I don't care if they fail. I'm just going to go from a double to a single to I'm just going to clinch and dirty box and just wear you out. Colby's weapons is his pressure, his pace, and his volume. Because even though his striking isn't that good, he'll throw a lot of shots. But I'm watching that second Leon Edwards fight against Kamaru Usman, the one where he got the head kick KO. And I'm like, man, after watching that, I'm thinking Colby Covington's going to get this. This is an easy win for Colby Covington. But then I watched the trilogy. And Leon Edwards, knowing what happened in that rematch, made a lot of adjustments, used his footwork, got a lot better with his, hand fighting in the clinch, got a lot better with his dirty boxing and knees to the body in the clinch, and then also circled and kind of picked Kamaru Usman out, picked him, off at range with leg kicks and body kicks and mixing in the head kicks. But there's one key factor I think you have to take into account for that third fight, and it's not really common knowledge. And not only is it not common knowledge, it's kind of pure speculation. I believe that Colby Covington is getting this title fight because I think Kamaru Usman was injured going into that trilogy. And I think he was close to pulling out. I don't know what the injury was. I think he was close to pulling out. The UFC called Colby Covington on a couple days' notice. That's the only reason they would call him on like 3-4 days' notice to come weigh in. Colby Covington answered the call and said, you know what? I'll be there and I will weigh in and I will fight if Kamaru Usman can't make it. And I think the UFC respected him for that. Even though he sat out for a while, they said, we're going to give him the next title fight. So that means Kamaru Usman kind of went into that fight compromised. And I don't want to sit here and make excuses for Kamaru Usman, but Kamaru Usman didn't have the same level of pressure and pace that he typically does, even from the second to third fight. And could that be the adjustments of Leon Edwards? Yes, it could be. But if Kamaru Usman was willing to just nonstop engage and nonstop look for takedowns, I think he beats Leon Edwards. I think that fight was a lot closer than people remember. And even when I watched it live, I thought it was rather close. And you had Leon Edwards cheating nonstop. And I know Kamaru Usman, people have complained about Kamaru Usman. But in that third fight, Leon Edwards egregiously grabbing the fence. I think there was low blows. I can't remember if that was the first fight or not. There was eye pokes. There was everything under the sun in that fight. And I just think if Kamaru Usman would have been more committed to closing the distance and looking for takedowns, I think he would have been able to win that fight pretty clearly, but that's obviously super speculative. But I know Colby's going to do that. I know he's going to go out and look to just nonstop get takedowns and nonstop clinch up and put the pressure on Leon Edwards. And Leon Edwards, when you're not fighting his fight, which is at range, just leg kicking, not throwing a whole lot of shots, kind of a boring style overall. I don't personally think it's boring, but to a lot of people, they think it's boring. If he's not fighting his fight, his cardio isn't all that great. And then also going back and rewatching that rematch against Kamaru Usman, I hate to say it, but I feel like enough time has passed. I feel like that head kick KO was kind of fluky. Kamaru Usman was kind of, he was kind of just, okay, we just got to run out the clock now. There's, a minute and a half left, or there's under 2 minutes left. I think the KO happened under a minute. And he just kind of, okay, I got this. Let me just kind of run out the clock. I'm not going to be super aggressive here. And Leon Edwards caught him with a perfectly placed head kick. So he did train that, so fair enough. But I just feel like also, if Herb Dean didn't save Leon Edwards was pressed up against the fence around the 2-minute mark. If Herb Dean didn't break him, Leon Edwards may have never even got to the center to land that head kick. So I'm battling all these different things back and forth. But I really think you have to take into account that Colby Covington hasn't fought in, I think, like a year and 10 months. He hasn't fought since all the way back in March of 2022, and that's against Jorge Masvidal. So he's coming off a long layoff. He's almost 36 years old. He's on the decline, if anything. Meanwhile, Leon Edwards is 32 years old, heading into his prime, arguably already in his prime. And the last 3 years, essentially, Leon Edwards has been training for Colby Covington's style, essentially, against Kamaru Usman. Because since December of 2021, when Leon Edwards' fight against Jorge Masvidal got canceled, he's been training for Kamaru Usman or Colby Covington. That's it. So the first fight or the second fight against Kamaru Usman, he ended up getting taken down, but he made those adjustments in that third fight, even though there are some other factors to look at. And then since then, he's known, okay, I'm fighting Colby Covington next, which is a very similar style, but Colby doesn't have the threat of the power on the feet. Colby really can't put you out. When's the last time Colby's got a finish via TKO? I know it's the Tyron Woodley fight, but that's not really a TKO. And before then, when's the last time he got a TKO before then? I don't even know when it was. It's all the way back in 2014. So since he's got a real TKO finish, I don't even remember what that one looked like, it's been damn near 10 years. So Colby has to go out there and win a very boring, non-stop shooting takedowns, non-stop clinching-esque fight. And I think Leon Edwards, in his prime, the taller, longer fighter, coming off multiple training camps for a heavy wrestling style, I think he gets it done. I just think he's going to be picking Colby apart at range. He's going to be chopping the legs. If you go back and watch the Jorge Masvidal fight, it was crazy to me going back and watching Colby Covington versus Jorge Masvidal. It was a lot more competitive early than I remember. I mean, Jorge was chopping the legs of Colby. And Jorge, I think at that point, he was borderline a dead body. He's fallen on a massive decline. So I think Leon Edwards is going to go out there with the same game plan he had against Kamaru Usman in the rematch or in the trilogy. And I think he's going to go out there, avoid the takedowns of Colby. Leon has gotten really good with his takedown defense. He has decent offensive grappling as well. And he's gotten really good in the clinch, battering the body with knees and then using wrist control to then disengage and circle out. And I just think Colby is the smaller fighter overall. He's getting up there in age, the long layoff, the fact that he doesn't have very good striking. So if he can't close the distance and get the takedowns, Leon Edwards is going to pick him apart, pumping the jab, kicks to the body, kicks to the legs, mixing in the head kicks as well. I could see Leon Edwards getting a finish, but Leon Edwards isn't really known for being a finisher either. I mean, you look at his most recent fights, of course he has that Kamaru Usman head kick KO, which was absolutely filthy. But before then, I mean, he's having a close fight with, or not really a close fight, but he's getting clipped up by Nate Diaz, and he's kind of coasting to a victory. Couldn't finish Nate Diaz, and I know Nate Diaz is notoriously durable, but the fight before that, Dos Anjos, unanimous decision. Before that, decision winner over Gunnar Nelson. The last time he got a win via finish was Peter Sabata. I don't even remember that fight. It's back in 2018. That was so long ago. So it's, the people saying, oh, Leon Edwards is going to get an easy finish in this fight. I don't think that's highly likely. Colby is known for his chin. He took a lot of big shots from Kamaru Usman. I know Colby got finished by Kamaru Usman in their first fight at UFC 245, but that was towards the end of the 5th round. Leon Edwards doesn't have Kamaru Usman power other than his head kicks. I don't think he's putting someone to sleep with his hands. I just don't see it happening. And while Colby does get sloppy and kind of wane in with his wrestling, and he does leave his chin exposed, he even got dropped to one knee by Jorge Masvidal, I just think Leon Edwards is going to be so focused on circling out and using his footwork and defending the takedowns and getting out of the clinch, not giving Colby, long periods of time with positional control up against the fence. I think he's going to be too worried about that, and I think he's just going to be peppering him with shots. I think it's going to be a leg kick clinic by Leon Edwards. I think he's going to be chopping the legs of Colby. I think he's going to be beating up the body of Colby. I think Colby will have some moments where he gets a lot of control time up against the fence and he lands some dirty boxing and maybe gets a takedown and makes Leon Edwards work back to his feet, but then Leon Edwards works back to his feet and then circle out, from against the cage and then they go back to the striking battle again. But I just don't see Covington pushing that heavy pace and being able to control Leon Edwards for long periods of time. Leon Edwards, there's no doubt, all training camp, defending how to get out of the clinch, getting up if he does get taken down, and Colby's the smaller guy here. So I don't see him going out there and just out-muscling Leon Edwards. I don't see it happening, especially when Leon Edwards was able to get up in both fights, both recent fights against Kamaru Usman. In the, even in the fight where he I don't want to say he got dominated by Kamaru, but even in the fight where he got the head kick KO, a Hail Mary KO, he had abilities to get up out from underneath of Kamaru Usman. Even Jorge Masvidal, who was arguably a dead body at that point, was finding ways to get back to his feet up against the fence. He would get taken right back down. But Leon Edwards will work back to his feet up against the fence. He'll start digging underhooks. He'll start looking for wrist control. He'll start kneeing to the body. And I think he's just physically stronger than Colby Covington. So I just see a fight that's much more competitive than people think. I see it being a relatively boring fight if you don't like, to watch it like a technical striker, kind of pick a grappler apart at range. But Colby's going to be rushing forward. And I could see him maybe getting caught in the later rounds and getting finished. But I like Colby's gas tank compared to Leon Edwards. So I could see a fight where maybe Leon wins the first 3 rounds and loses the back 2. I could see a fight where Leon Edwards, maybe wins the first 4 rounds, loses the 5th round. I see this fight playing out, though, by decision, no matter who wins. I think if Colby Covington wins this fight, he definitely wins by decision. If Leon Edwards wins this fight, I think he most likely wins by decision. I could see him getting a KO. But I don't see him getting a submission, and I really don't even see him getting a KO unless he catches him with just a massive shot. Colby walks right into it, and Colby, since he's almost 36 years old, his chin has just completely disappeared over the last 2 years. I don't see him getting finished like that. So I think the fight is really just going to be Colby trying to impose his will, but Leon Edwards is going to be circling, fighting well in the clinch, being stronger in the clinch than Colby Covington. I see Colby getting a couple takedowns. But even when Colby does get takedowns, he doesn't do a whole lot of damage. He doesn't have a whole lot of, heavy ground and pound shots. Colby's known kind of for his pillow hands. He's not known to get guys down and just maul them with shots. Even against Jorge Masvidal, he didn't do a whole lot of damage on the ground. The most of the damage that he did was on the feet because of the threat of the takedown. So if he can go out there and really start just ragdolling Leon Edwards, but Leon Edwards is able to work his way back to his feet, that could come into play because then Colby can start opening up on the feet. But I don't see it happening. Leon's been training for literally 3 years for the exact style that Colby Covington brings. Colby Covington's been off for 2 years. He's 36 years old. He's shorter. He's smaller. He, has less of a reach. I see Leon Edwards going out there and winning by striking from range and defending the takedowns and busting up Colby Covington. But I do think it will be a competitive fight. But I see Leon Edwards winning like a 49-46 decision, chopping at the legs, body kicks, mixing up with, kind of using the hands a little bit to set up the kicks and kind of avoid the takedowns, teeps to the body to stop Colby from closing the distance. And I see Leon having some success in those clinch exchanges. I see him landing some good knees to the body against Colby Covington as well. And just Colby's going to be too old, too slow, and just not strong enough to body somebody like Leon Edwards in the grappling. So I'm going Leon Edwards via decision. I think it's going to be a competitive fight. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Don't forget to like the video. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And thank you so much for watching.